everyone, and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast on YouTube, and also the audio podcast via SoundCloud at this point in time. Now, I do have to go ahead and apologize. This is going to be focused around Smackdown on August 8th, 2017, but I had already done my Raw review, and I realized on the video variation, my sound was muted. And I uploaded it. So yeah, it's about 30 minutes of me trying to talk, but not trying to talk. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. I have the audio variation, and it should be working. It's working on the SoundCloud side of everything on that one. But I've got to either redo the video or I've got to do something with that at that point in time. I've obviously got it fixed for today. I'm looking at my XSplit right now, and it is it's working, and I don't have the microphone muted like I did yesterday. Oops, my bad, and I messed up. So learning experiences on doing things like this, and always make sure your the microphone icon is not crossed out when you're doing things. So, on to SmackDown for this week. This was an interesting SmackDown. I felt like they did some good stuff here in the terms of what they were going for in the on everything, but also it felt like it didn't really feel like it was making SummerSlam all that big in every way, shape, or form in this show. And let's just go ahead and start right from the beginning. They had John Cena start the show. He was cutting a promo on the match last week. Everything in that bit, talking up Nakamura, about how he loses, and Cena's definitely gotten himself into this very meta type of phase right now in his point in the career, where he even refers to himself as Super Cena, also making references to the fact that he doesn't lose cleanly all that often and everything in that sense. So he does a lot of things in that sense of everything in his promos. So he puts over Nakamura, everything in that sense, for winning from last week. But as he's continually talking about that, he gets interrupted by Baron Corbin, who has his new music. I wish they would have just kept the old one. Maybe it's just an aspect of trying to get used to the new music or something like that. It was kind of it was definitely different, but his old music wasn't bad, so it was kind of weird that they changed his music to begin with, to go along with it. And since Cena was talking about respect and everything in that sense during his promo, Baron Corbin basically comes out and says, he doesn't care about anyone's respect. He's there to win. He's there to do this, do that. And that Cena stuck his nose in his business last week after they went off the air. He attacked Nakamura. Cena came back down and put Baron Corbin through a table. This is where Cena, finds a sign in the crowd that says Baron Corbin is a dumpster fire, and he refers to Baron Corbin as like a skinny, fat dumpster fire in that one. It was definitely an interesting line. I'll definitely give it that one. It was a very interesting line on that one. But Corbin basically goes off as like because he challenges Corbin to come down to the ring. Corbin says he's not worth his time, goes to leave. Daniel Bryan comes out, and Daniel Bryan, crazy over the crowd, and easy to just easy one-liner for him. It's like because Cena called him a dumpster fire. Corbin calls himself the future. So Daniel Bryan comes out, it's like, I don't know whether or not you're a dumpster fire or the future, but here's a way of figuring out what's going on. You're going to face John Cena at not WrestleMania, but SummerSlam. WrestleMania was months ago and many months away. Yeah. Whoops. But yes, it's going to be Cena and Baron Corbin at SummerSlam this year. And, the way you really got to look at it right now is that John Cena is considered in a match that's really just thrown together. It's just there at SummerSlam. Like no real story outside the fact that Cena came back out and AA'd Baron Corbin last week through the table, but not much to it other than that. A very interesting one on that sense of everything. Overall, though, I thought it was a relatively good segment, but like I said, okay, Cena's on the SummerSlam card, like you kind of expected, but really, you would figure he would have a match that would have been built up. And since they were teasing like a Nakamura Cena or a Nakamura, or not Nakamura, but an AJ Cena match, but they're not going that route. They have him going up with Baron Corbin. It'll be interesting to see if he decides to put the new guy over. The newer guy over in this one, or how much does he really care about this particular feud in general to go along with everything. It'll be an interesting one to see where they go with this. Cena typically loses at SummerSlam, but this is one of those matches that you could say, oh yeah, he could easily just win this one. He could easily just win this match with how they can build up Baron Corbin in the terms of him being the Money in the Bank contract holder. Technically, they usually eat a few losses here and there, and then they end up cashing in on that side of everything. So we'll see where everything goes here. So this brings us to the first match of the night, which was the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Ty Dillinger. I thought this was a decent match. The Usos going over in this case, I thought actually was the right move. I mean, it kind of builds up their momentum going into a match with New Day at SummerSlam. They, after the match, they cut a promo on the New Day, which they get interrupted by Big E doing his typical shtick. He was the only one that comes out, and then Kofi and Xavier attack the Usos from behind, and they kind of show a vicious side here. Like, they were going up for, like, they were pulling out steel chairs to do like some real damage, everything in that sense, before the Usos had gotten each other out of the ring and bailed. Like, they were going to go for the big ending, and it looked like Kofi was going to swing a chair at one of their heads or something like that before they both got out of the ring. It was a pretty interesting way of going, and honestly, with the Usos and the New Day, this has probably been their best program going on. That hasn't necessarily been, well, Breezango doing their Fashion File segments. So this brings us to a Randy Orton interview. Basic stuff here. He was kind of talking about his grudge match. They called it a grudge match with Jinder Mahal, and everything that was going on with Rusev from the last week. Not really too much to say here, but it was what it was. And this actually brings us into the Fashion Files, or in this case, Fashion Peaks has returned again this week, and this is an interesting one to see where they were going with everything. And I can't believe I didn't see this reference before with Tully Blanchard from way back when. That they had made mention to the horse being named Tully. They made a good reference with this one to go along with it, and but they had tons of different good references in this one. They had Breezango talking to the Ascension right at the beginning about the dream he was having the week before and going through everything that was going on, and they were just like, "Are you done with the pie?" Or like they had a pie there and everything in that sense. And as Breezango was going up, it's like, I know who did this now, and it's like the Ascension are going to leave. He looks over, the Ascension are leaving. It's like you have Tyler Breeze going like, "Don't you want to find out who did this?" "No, we're just here for the free pie," and they just leave. And this actually brings Fandango back. And he goes off and says he was abducted by aliens, and he makes this crazy one-liner going about it. It's like, well, wait a minute, if you could, because he makes mention, it's like, oh, I could have left at any time. It's like, well, why didn't you? And he goes like, anal probes. Well, like, no, wardrobes. And it's like, this is good stuff. This is pretty good stuff. I thought it was very comical. And basically they make a mention, it's like, oh, Tyler Breeze is like, now I can kind of be into the future and everything in that set, or like foresee something. He said the next person who walks through that door is the one that destroyed Tully. And Arn Anderson came in, and he said, and he basically was like, and he's making mention to like the Four Horsemen bit from way back when. So it's almost like it went nowhere, but it kind of went somewhere with everything they were going. It was an interesting way of going. I like the stuff they did with Fashion Files this week. I thought it was really good in that sense. But they're still on this aspect of, I think, trying to figure out who, since we found out what happened with Fandango, and we kind of got the aspect of Tully the horse that got destroyed. I guess they're trying to still figure out who destroyed their office or something in that sense. I don't know exactly where they're going, or is this whole aspect of Arn Anderson saying that he destroyed Tully was just a reference to his career, and it's not an actual reference to the actual destroying of their quote-unquote horse or anything in that sense. So we'll see where they go with this. Up next was Charlotte versus Lana. This was a squash match, and I actually liked what they did. I like what Charlotte did here. She was like, typically, like when the other person would make an entrance, the person always looks at the rampway, everything in that sense. Like Charlotte just stared into the hard camera the whole time, like just knowing she was gonna win in this match. And basically, that's what ends up happening. She wins with the figure eight after Lana slaps her. Big boot into the figure eight afterwards after Lana slaps her. And yeah, they're kind of just making Lana, in the terms of in-ring stuff, kind of like a joke. But they kind of save it as this aspect of maybe she's going to become a manager again, but become a manager for Tamina. Because they had a backstage segment after the Kevin Owens and AJ Styles segment, which I'll talk about here in a moment. Because in this segment, Tamina's like going in there, basically berating her and like telling her the fact that you fought Charlotte, yeah, you weren't going to get a win. But she makes a bit of saying that it's like she knew the reason why Lana had gotten 3 straight title shots. And they're making it reference like, oh, she only got it because of her looks, anything in that sense. No, she was like, and it was like, it's your ambition. We're going to use that ambition to get me a title shot somewhere down the line. Actually, not a bad segment. Not a bad segment here. A lot of this stuff was kind of talk. Even though, like, I didn't feel like they made SummerSlam come off as a very big show this week, at least on the terms of the SmackDown side, I thought the stuff that they did was really good. In the sense of everything. They did do a pretty good job here, but you don't get like that crazy big vibe going into SummerSlam on SmackDown that you kind of do on Raw at this point in time. But let's go into this now, because this was like right at the end of the first hour. You had Shane McMahon come out. He basically brings out AJ Styles and Kevin Owens to kind of set the record straight of what he was going to be. And this is actually really good. I loved everything they did here. Kevin Owens was great. Shane was great. He was making mention, it's like, don't make me have a reason to get involved in the match. That's the only reason why I get involved, is you give me a reason to be involved. In the terms of being a referee, or I guess in physical side of everything. But they bring up references of like what Owens brings up references of what AJ Styles did to him going into the WrestleMania feud, and also the fact that of the actual match itself, the things that like AJ says, he doesn't trust Shane. He was not even thrilled to hear that Shane was going to be the referee in the match, and if you did anything to kind of screw him out, that he would face the ramifications just like he did at WrestleMania. They even brought up the old footage from the 1998 Survivor Series during the Deadly Games tournament, where Shane McMahon screwed Stone Cold Steve Austin out of the tournament when he was the referee. And it was just good stuff. They were bringing up references left and right of like what Shane used to do as a referee back when he was a heel, in every sense of the word there. And that could be interesting to see if they're going to have him come off as a heel at any given point in time or something in that sense. After all the promos were done, they basically, Owens and Styles go to like try to have a conflict between, or try to start a brawl between each other. Shane gets in between both of them. Owens punches Styles, missing Shane, but AJ Styles goes for the Pele kick, and instead of hitting Owens, he hits Shane, and making it come off as an accident. And you even see Shane's like, you're on borrowed time, so they're kind of doing something there. It was a good segment. I thought it was really good. I rather did enjoy this one, in that sense of everything. So this brings us to our next match, which was Carmella versus Naomi. And this is where I get very weirded out by some of this stuff that they had throughout the rest of the show here. in this match, which I thought was a pretty decent match with Carmella and Naomi. Both of them worked pretty well. At the end of the match, when it looks like Naomi was gonna go for the victory, or she was up on the top rope, Ellsworth comes back because the suspension was over with, and knocks her off the top rope, allowing Carmella to hit the super kick, basically kick Naomi in the face and pick up the pinfall victory. Why no cash-in attempt here? Why no cash-in attempt here? Especially after she already got the win. She can basically beat down Naomi a little bit more and then cash in real quick. But no, she just goes right off to the back in that sense of it. So it just came off a little bit weird in that sense of everything, of why was there no real cash-in opportunity there. It looked like it was a perfect opportunity for it, but they decided not to go along with it. When they come back from commercial break, you have Carmella and James Ellsworth in the back. They run into Natalya. Natalya kind of runs them down, saying stay out of her business. And you had Carmella and James Ellsworth. It's like, oh, everybody's scared. Now Ellsworth's back. Everyone's scared in the division, of course. She has the Money in the Bank contract. And it's like, yeah, they're kind of hoping. Like, they're trying to treat Natalya almost as a joke in that sense of everything, by saying that, yeah, we hope you win. We really hope you win the match at SummerSlam, and like they just hold up the Money in the Bank and kind of go off. Again, more foreshadowing that they're going to do a Money in the Bank cash-in at SummerSlam or something in that sense. At least that's what you feel like they're going to go with. So, before the main event, they had an interview with Shinsuke Nakamura, where Renee Young interviews Shinsuke Nakamura. Basically, he talks about beating Cena from the week before and his match at SummerSlam with Jinder Mahal. And he ends it with saying that at SummerSlam, the Nakamura dynasty begins. Everything in that sense, like foreshadowing that maybe he's winning the WWE title at SummerSlam in that match and everything to go along with it. Not a bad interview here. His English has never been the best, and he's never really had a whole lot to say, but it did what it needed to do. It set up towards SummerSlam, everything in that sense. And then they led into the main event match of the night, which was Jinder Mahal going up against Randy Orton. And I'm not gonna lie here, out of all their matches, this has been like the trend with Smackdown recently, they've had 3 pay-per-view matches now. Yet their Smackdown match here was probably their best, and we've seen a trend of that. It's like the pay-per-view match wasn't all that good, but the match on Smackdown, good stuff, because this was a good match. These two had a good match. The only thing that we really, I would say, really have a problem with is that Randy Orton goes over in this match. I feel like they should continue making Jinder Mahal kind of like the legitimate threat going into his pay-per-view match with Shinsuke Nakamura, to make it kind of feel like he's a threat against Nakamura in that pay-per-view match at SummerSlam. But they have Randy Orton go over clean here after the RKO. And like I said, what was a good match? I mean, he reverses the Colossus into the RKO and picks up the victory. So I guess they're trying to make sure Randy Orton has a victory going into SummerSlam because he has his match with Rusev or something in that sense to go along with it. I don't know about that. The only problem that I have, again, well, there's a couple problems with that. Is like, one, they decided to kind of halt Jinder Mahal a little bit. I wish they would have just kept him going in the terms of having momentum going into the actual pay-per-view match itself. I think that would have worked out better in his sense, and it makes it feel like more of a legitimate threat going into a match with Nakamura, because most people would consider, at least in terms of looking at it, that Nakamura is the better worker than Jinder Mahal, and that they necessarily don't consider Jinder Mahal as a big threat to go along with it. Like I said, I liked this match. I thought it was good. In that sense, but I think they should have at least had Mahal go over in this match. After the match, and again, no cash in here. Like, he's down and out, no cash in. I mean, I guess you could play off the aspect that Randy Orton was still out there, and maybe Orton would stop Baron Corbin from cashing in his Money in the Bank contract or something in that sense, but still no tease or no anything in that sense. As Randy Orton walks up, Rusev super kicks him. in the head, and basically they fade to black right after that. So Rusev gets the advantage going into the next week with Randy Orton to go along with it. So overall, I liked them. I liked this show. I thought it was a good show. It was just one of those things like I didn't get that vibe that SummerSlam's like 2 weeks away with this show, and hopefully they give that vibe next week or something in that sense with everything. But I didn't get that vibe while watching this show this week in that sense of it, though. But like I said, I thought it came off as a relatively good show in that sense of it. And I thought it came off. I thought it came off as like a good one-off show, but it didn't come off as like, oh, outside of like a couple areas. As we're building the SummerSlam, and it's like this big grandiose thing that they always say that it is. You didn't get that feeling this week, so that was the one down. That was definitely the one major down point of the show. But otherwise, it was a rather good show for everything else what it was. So with that being said, everybody, that's pretty much everything I have for SmackDown this week. So I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed everything. At least I enjoyed SmackDown this week. I definitely enjoyed it more than I did Raw. That even though I thought they had some good stuff on Raw, I found the show overall boring this time. Here I actually enjoyed it, but it also came off as like, wait a minute, I thought SummerSlam was coming up. It doesn't feel like SummerSlam's coming up type thing with this one. So they definitely had their down points for each of these shows over the last so many weeks and everything to go along with it. And hopefully with the final Raw and SmackDown going into SummerSlam, we get a different vibe next week with everything going on going into that particular pay-per-view. So with that being said, guys, peace out. And we'll, for programming notes, I should be doing the NXT review either later tonight, because this is being done late on Wednesday. It's like right before NXT would go up on the network. Maybe I get NXT done tonight, or I'll do it sometime tomorrow. And then obviously Impact is gonna happen, and yeah, we've got a couple other things going on. I've been working on some gaming stuff too, so a lot of stuff coming this way. So peace out, guys. Got a little bit more to work on, and have a great rest of your day.